Hi guys, welcome to another Sporting Communities Mental Health podcast. Sporting Communities are a community interest company. We are an ethical, non-for-profit organisation which services range from sports coaching, youth work, mentors and family support. We are a training academy delivering a range of qualifications, and we also have art and play services. Thank you for joining us again today. I am joined by Martine, Mim and Denzel. So we're going to do a quick introduction again, just to explain who we are if you haven't listened and watched before. So I'll start this week. So I'm James. I've been with Sporting Communities now for a couple of years, mainly going out into the community and delivering sports sessions. But while we can't get out there and deliver them sessions for you, we are doing podcasts such as these. Basically try and help with sort of any anxiety or anything like that you've got around lockdown, because we know we've all experienced it. Coming to you, Martine.
Hi, yeah, my name's Martine. I've worked for Sporting Communities since last July. I'm working currently on the Active Youth Project. I also work full-time for a mental health charity, and I'm a keen runner and I run my own running group.
Great stuff. Denzel?
Hi guys, my name's Denzel. I've been with Sporting Communities for possibly half a year now, say about 5 or 6 months, as a youth engagement worker and also as a writer in terms of songs and also poetry. I'm a songwriter in my spare time, and I'm also a football coach for Notts County.
Great stuff. And Mim?
So, hi, I'm Mim. I've been with the company for about 2 years now. And my role is to go out into the community and engage in sessions with you lovely people at home. And I've recently started some work with the Supporting Communities strand of the organisation as well. So that's sort of mentoring you guys, and just if you've got any sort of worries or anything you want to talk about, then that's my role. And outside of work, I'm currently studying youth work and community development at university.
And I believe you've just handed in your dissertation, is that right?
I have, and it is the best feeling ever.
Wow.
Not long left now.
We thought you seemed to be smiling tonight. We know why now.
That's wicked,
Yeah.
man. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations. That must be a huge weight lifted. So
definitely, I can chill now.
Yeah, that's it. So from now on, when we're talking about building
for a party, man.
When we're talking about building routines, Mim is not the person to ask, because she's now going to get out of all of her routines and everything like that. It's time to be lazy now.
Yeah, it's Netflix marathon time.
Yeah, definitely. Great stuff. So anyone who listened or watched the last podcast with us, we spoke about different things that we were looking forward to doing when sort of everything opens back up and we're out of lockdown and such. We have had a couple of questions sent in to us this week from a few people who are potentially either worried about things or basically wanted our advice on a few situations. So I'm just going to throw straight into the questions, and then we can sort of come up with the best answers that we can get. So the first question that got sent in to us this week was, I got invited out to the park with a few friends, but I know it's against the rules. I want to go and I do miss them, but I know that I shouldn't. What should I do? Now, I personally think this is a really tricky one, but I'm going to come to you guys first to see what you think. So, I mean, dive straight in, basically opinions. What should this young person do?
I think it's a really tough time at the minute, and you know, there's no right or wrong thing to do. You've got to do what you think is best for you. Obviously it is against the rules, so we'd advise not to, and probably, you know, I know it's not the same, but FaceTime and things like that, if you are missing your friends, is probably a better option. However, we do understand, you know, we are human beings, and if for your mental health and that sort of thing, you feel, do you know what, I live on my own, I've got absolutely no one, I've not been anywhere, they've not been anywhere, then you are allowed a support bubble. So I mean, if it's for the right reasons, yeah, you know, you've got to do what's best for you, but I think it's worth exploring other options first and seeing if things like FaceTime and stuff do help. I don't know what you guys think. I think there's no right or wrong with this. It's, you know, you've got to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with Mim. It's very difficult because it is something none of us want to break the rules, but it is something that we've got to do what is currently best for us. And like Mim says, if you can do it another way, if you can explore other ways of keeping in touch with your friends, and then that's probably the better things to do at the moment. Hopefully, restrictions will start to ease and we will be able to get back out with our friends soon. So if we can just hold on a little bit longer and do something other way of connecting for now.
Yeah, my opinions is similar to what Min was saying. I think we need to look for alternatives. I think just as we're doing right now on Zoom's a great idea because it's still socializing. Perhaps if you have a garden, maybe you could have a video call out in the garden just so you're at least out. Maybe just sit at the front for 10 minutes and get some fresh air or something like that. I think if you went against, what the sort of rules and regulations say, you're potentially putting yourself at more risk in terms of getting a fine or just something like that. And I think at the moment, if you're struggling, it's probably ideal to avoid anything that would add more stress to your mental headspace, really, which would obviously be the case if you was to go against the rules. Also, to my knowledge, we can meet with, I think, is one other person. So if there's a little friendship group that may be meeting up, maybe you could have meetings with them, but just one of them and like one at a time, like a different friend on each day of the week or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, actually. I was going to say something similar myself, that obviously you are allowed out, you are allowed to meet up with one other person. And so maybe do that. I understand it is difficult if you've got a big friendship group and there's 10 of you that would normally meet up and go to the park. I understand it's difficult to pick one person out of that 10. And actually, if all 9 of them are meeting up and there's quite a bit of pressure for you to go and meet them, I understand that's a really difficult decision for you to have to make. I think going back to Mim's original point, you have to do what is right for you. You have to do what feels right, but you also have to understand the consequences of the fact that you are breaking the rules. There are fines that can be given out, etc. So you have to understand that if you are breaking the rules, you are putting yourself at risk of getting them fines. I would say the one other advice that I would give personally, if you feel like you have no other choice other than to go and meet up with them, whether it be for your mental health, whether it be because you feel like that's something you have to do, it still doesn't mean that you can't social distance from people. You can still stay 2 meters away from them. You could choose to wear a mask even if you're outdoors. So you can still make good decisions, even if you're doing something that technically isn't within the boundaries that you should be doing. So I suppose that's sort of the advice that I would give. Again, it is against the rules, so technically my advice would be no. But if you feel like it's something you've got to do, there are precautions that you can take to make sure that you're doing the best that you can in that situation.
Definitely.
I agree. I think sometimes it's about weighing up the risk and reward of all of your options and thinking, actually, am I going to benefit more from not doing this or from doing this? Or, is my mental health in a position where actually the reward of meeting someone outweighs the risk of doing so? I think it's different for everyone. So we can't really tell you what to do because that's your choice. But like we've all said, you know what right and wrong is, and sort of the risks in doing that. So we'd advise against it. And we're always here to chat as well. If you are feeling lonely and you're feeling like you need that social aspect, we do a youth club once a week. We've got our online chats and stuff, so feel free to come onto there and get that sort of social element if that's what you feel you're missing.
Yeah, me and Denzel are the ones on the youth club as well, and we can guarantee we always have a bit of a laugh, so please feel free to come on and join us on there. So
yeah, sometimes speak for yourself, James. I mean, no, it's all right.
We all have good fun.
We'll have to kick a few out. Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. I was also going to say, I was just going to quickly say to anyone that does decide to obviously like meet up with like more than one person, just try your best not to make a habit of it, and you don't want to land yourself in too much trouble all at once, so just be a little bit cautious at times and don't be too obvious with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. If you've done it once, I think the tendency is there to think, well, I've done it once, so I'll do it again. And actually, it's just increased exposure, and it's just more and more chance, especially if you are living with parents and stuff like that, you're risking taking it back to them. So I suppose the question you have to ask yourself is, would you want to make any of your family ill? And I think the answer to that would always be no. So it's just having that in the back of your mind whenever you are going out and meeting up with people, really. Hopefully that's helped, and you can now make a decision, obviously, based on the advice that we've given. The next question that got sent in to us was, how are you all dealing with Zoom fatigue, and have you got any tips? I think this particular young person was referring to the fact that obviously now with homeschooling, everything is online. They're spending all day online. They're then trying to catch up with their friends online, and they're spending a lot of time in front of sort of a computer screen. I think a lot of young people as well are sort of into gaming and stuff like that. So normally their escape is to then put themselves in front of a screen, but that's no longer an escape. So I think they're finding that less enjoyable as well. So I suppose it's tips from us as to how we're dealing with sort of the increased exposure to sort of screens and online and everything like that. So
I've really been feeling it, definitely.
Yeah.
You're not alone with that.
Any advice?
I think the biggest thing that helped me, because I'm one of them people that in the evening after I've finished work and, you know, getting everything online done, I think, oh, I'll wind down now and I'll go on my phone. And it's just not helpful at all. You know, it doesn't help with that feeling. So if you are going to go on your phone, which some people do enjoy, sort of that is their wind down, I recommend putting your phone on nighttime mode to get rid of the blue light. And you'll get a better night's sleep for that as well. And also what I've started doing is just scheduling in an hour or two a day where I come away from all of my devices and my social media and do something for myself that I want to do just without all of that. So whether it be take a bath or listen to some music or just anything where you're not looking at a screen, preferably an hour before you go to bed, because, you know, you will get better sleep from that, and it does give you that time to sort of wind down. Because although we see our going on our phone and on social media as something to do to relax, it doesn't relax your brain, because your brain's still going, you know, taking in information, looking at things. You might be getting yourself a bit anxious by looking at certain things online. So I think definitely coming away from that for an hour or two in the evening, that definitely helped me and changed my mindset, and I got better sleep for that. So that's probably my top tip.
Yeah, I must admit, I think I feel like I've got square eyes some days with the amount of time I've been looking at screens. So yeah, no, I think that's really good advice. I think as well, sort of limiting the sort of the latest that you're going to be on anything like that is a good one, so that you can have a couple of hours before you go to bed. I know that tends to help, and it's something that we've discussed before. Anything else from you guys?
Yeah, it's take regular breaks. I mean, I've got a sports watch, and I used to hate the fact that it used to remind me to move. I turned that, because it really got me mad that I'd go out and do something sporty, and then I'd sit down and then my watch would tell me to move. But I've put that back on recently because it just reminds me to take a break from my screen. So when my watch beeps, move, I'm like, right, even if it's only to walk away and get a cup of tea, or, you know, just get away from everything just for a few minutes. It's an excellent idea to just take those regular breaks.
I think that's really good advice, because it is easy, like when you're staring at a screen, you sort of become immersed in it, and you think, oh my gosh, it's been like 3 hours and I've not been for a drink, or, you know, it's so easily done, and we lose that touch of reality. So I think having that little reminder that actually we are human, like we're not we aren't part of the online world. That's a really good piece of advice, Martine. I think I might have to invest in one of those watches.
I mean, you can always set something on your phone if you haven't got, you know, one of those reminders on your watch. You could perhaps set a reminder on your phone just to give you a little beep, like after an hour, so that because I've not used to working online in my previous jobs, and this one, it was really difficult to start off with, not to spend hours and hours staring at the screen and forget to move away from it.
Yeah, I will agree with the watch buzzing to tell you to get up there. I remember when I went out and ran half marathon, and I ran half a marathon. I came back, I sat down chilling for an hour, and my watch started buzzing, saying, "You haven't moved this hour. Perhaps get up and do some exercise." And I was thinking, "Are you joking? If you knew the state I was in right now, you would not be saying that to me."
I know, it doesn't matter how much exercise you do; it will still tell you to move.
Yeah, you haven't been out for that hour. It's telling you, get up. Stop being lazy. Denzel, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Not anything too different from what's already been said. Really, I can just understand how difficult it must be, because obviously what wasn't so regular in the lives of people has become more almost everyday life all around the clock. So what else do you do? Obviously, there's not a massive amount. I would just literally just say just to take a break when you can, and if possible, just to split up your online activity a little bit more in the week. If you can have a day away from it, maybe try to, and then another day it won't seem so boring and tedious and tiring so much. Yeah, so just split up your usage as you can throughout the day or daily even, spread it out a bit more, and just have a moment to just refresh yourself away from it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one thing that I would just add is going back to Mim's original point about your phone. Don't treat your phone as a break. Is probably a really key piece of advice, because as she was saying, you're still looking at a screen. You've still got the blue light. I mean, like Mim says, you can turn it on to night mode, but I would still try and refrain from doing that as much as possible. I'd say if you need to go on your phone and you've got some people messaging you that want to speak to, that's good advice. But like Mim was saying, try not to spend too long scrolling through and bits like that, because actually when you go back to the screen, you've had no time away. So do try and do something that doesn't involve technology if you can help it, would probably be the thing that I would say. But again, hopefully that helps. I think main tips there were really sort of regular breaks away from technology, and get some kind of fresh air and stuff like that. Should definitely help you if you are struggling and getting square eyes like us.
I think in that aspect as well, just quickly,
yeah.
I find as well being cooped up inside and not going out and working from home in itself is difficult. So when you say fresh air as well, sometimes it helps just to open your windows.
Yeah.
So you're getting that breeze and that fresh air and that oxygen, and it makes the world of difference, just all those little things. So try and make your space enjoyable as well,
I think as well, thankfully, we seem to be through sort of the worst weather for the winter now. We do seem to be getting into a bit more of the, fingers crossed, touch wood. We do seem to be getting a little bit more spring type weather. I know it's still not exactly sunbathing weather quite yet, so I don't need to get the factor 50 out just yet, but it does seem to be picking up a little bit. So it is a little bit more appealing to go out for a little walk, even around the block and stuff like that. I know over the last few weeks it has been really cold. And so getting out and about has been a little bit more difficult and probably not as appealing. But hopefully now, with the weather picking up, people will want to get out and about a little bit more. So fingers crossed for that one. Right, the final question that got sent in, which I'm intrigued to see the answers, because I must admit I'm putting myself into this category right now. Is I'm struggling with motivation to get out. I'm bored and feeling myself tired more and more. Have you experienced this, and have you got any tips? Firstly, I will say to whoever sent that question in, 100% you are not alone. I am feeling this right now. Like, for the last couple of weeks, that is exactly how I felt since I got a little bit ill. I still haven't got back into my normal routine, and I'm still trying to build it up slowly. But I was saying actually earlier to these guys, I'm still sort of in an afternoon, I just found myself so tired, and trying to sort of get back to the fact of doing stuff all day, I found really difficult. And I think part of that is not being able to have my normal routine and everything like that. So I'm interested to see what your guys' opinion on that is. So it's basically feeling more and more tired. Have we experienced it, and have we got any tips to kind of get out of that slump?
I would suggest potentially to get out of it, maybe try, if possible, try and adapt into a different routine. because maybe this person I sent the question in has maybe become too used to having the same old routine, and it's just boring. It's not really something you look forward to doing anymore. So maybe you just need to add something in that's different, or take away something that can be taken away. That's maybe one of the main factors into the feeling of being tedious and tired. Try something new if possible, and just get rid of anything that's old and dragging you back, and just refresh yourself inside and out. That's the only thing I can suggest. I can relate to also feeling, did you say quite just run down and tired as well, James?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just I don't know, maybe you could set yourself a few different tasks throughout the day to do at home, that just get you up. Like, obviously, if you've got a big task, you're less likely to do it. But maybe if you break down your tasks into little tasks, you'll do little by little, and before you know it, you've achieved more than what you initially thought you would. Just set like a little reminder in your phone calendar, or if you've got a paperback calendar, maybe set a little alarms on your alarm clock or something, and just give yourself a little bit of a boost and a little bit of a just a reminder just to get something done, basically. Maybe you could even team up with someone to get something done, so you have the same work that needs to be done, or the same goals and targets, but you're reducing the workload. Get myself moving because of how big the task ahead is. But if it's possible to share the workload, you've got someone to do it with, and that might give you a motivation. Somebody else to work with you can be a motivation. If you're not able to have like a sibling or friend that you live with, or a student to help you, like, by your side, maybe you could plan to both do something and accomplish something during the same time on the same day, and before you know it, you're both telling each other what you've achieved, and you've just got somebody else to work along and give you that boost.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of good advice there. Martine and Mim, anything you'd like to add?
I can certainly relate to motivation. I think everybody can. I think, you know, especially this time of year anyway, from January through to spring, you know, early springtime, motivation's lacking in a normal year, never mind this year. So I can certainly relate to that. But what I do is, when I'm sat on the sofa and I'm thinking, I'm not going to do anything today, I can't be bothered, I really don't want to. I think how I'm going to feel if I do it and if I don't do it. And am I going to feel better for letting myself sit on that sofa and not do it? Or am I going to feel better if I just give myself that little kick and go and do it? And usually it's going to be the latter. I'm going to feel better if I just push myself out the door. And if I don't, then I'm going to feel worse, because I'm going to kick myself later for not having done something. So
Yeah.
give myself that little talk. Is this going to make me feel better sitting on this sofa today and not doing anything, or is it going to make me feel better to actually get up and do something?
Yeah, good advice.
Definitely.
Mim?
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to how this person's feeling. I think it's important some days to let yourself allow that, you know, like we're not machines. There is some days where you think, do you know what? I just can't bring myself to do that today. And that's okay. As long as the following day you get back on that bandwagon and you get going with it, you know, allow yourself that time, because it's important. We do need that. Don't let yourself burn out. But at the same time, like Martine said, if you don't do those things, you've got to do them at some point. So are you better off getting it done and then relaxing, or relaxing now but having on the back of your mind, oh, I can't relax yet because I know that I've got that to do. If I don't do it now, it's going to be later or tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, get things done that are within your abilities, but don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you don't manage to get those things done, that's okay. We need that sometimes. And also drink, I know it sounds really cliche, drink water. Like, water is like 70% of our body, and if we're not keeping hydrated, we're naturally going to feel run down and tired and lethargic. So I think just keeping your fluids up, make sure we're eating healthily, just doing whatever is in our power to maintain that motivation and that energy. So yeah, and make sure you're having all your 3 meals a day as well, because our body needs fuel.
especially breakfast. Especially breakfast. They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So yeah, just touching on what Mem just said, 100%.
Yeah, I'm glad we've covered that one. I was just about to say, I think one of the sort of slumps that I'd got into, especially since I'd not been very well, my eating habits had basically gone completely down the drain. I was sort of having sporadic meals. I was sort of eating when I was feeling like eating rather than sort of at set times in the day. I wasn't eating very healthily. I'm someone who always tries to have like their 5 fruit and veg a day. I was lucky if I was having one. It's much easier to eat chocolate than it is to eat a banana. So I was just binging on rubbish food. And it got to meal times, and it was just as easy to sort of go online and go on Just Eat or something like that to order something than it was to actually make the effort to make myself something. And I still, to be honest, I'm still not completely out of that now. I am making a conscious effort to try and eat healthier again, and try and get back to my normal eating habits. And as you guys have just said, eating 3 meals a day and making sure I'm having something in the morning to give myself energy. But it's not easy to suddenly just click your fingers and start doing it. Because if you are sat around the house and you are feeling bored or anything like that, we eat because we're bored. At the end of the day, we sit there, there's nothing else to do. So what do? We go and grab a snack. You're not necessarily that hungry, but you'll go and grab it just because of the fact you're bored. So if we can try and avoid doing that, if possible, that'll definitely help. And the one other thing that I just wanted to mention, which I know I got into a bit of a habit of, is it links back to what we were saying before about going on your phone. People tend to only put stuff on social media that they want people to see. So if you're having a bit of a bad day and you're feeling low and you go onto Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and you start looking through what your friends have been putting, they will be putting things that they've been doing. Now, if you're not feeling like doing anything that day, seeing that they've all been out and done something isn't necessarily going to make you feel any better. Quite often it's going to make you feel worse because you're going to start comparing yourself to what they've done, and you're going to start feeling bad for the fact that while they've been out doing all of that, you've done nothing. Now, that is not good because you end up getting into a habit then of checking what everyone else is doing, and it can almost lead into a spiral where you then don't want to do anything because you feel worse and worse for it. I think, like Martine was saying earlier, set yourself a goal and think to myself, do you know what? Am I going to do it now? Am I going to do it later? Which am I going to feel better for? And do it then. And perhaps once you've then felt like you've accomplished something and you feel like you've got something from the day, you can then treat yourself to spend an hour on social media and talk to your friends or whatever it is. But don't binge on that. Use it as a treat, I think, would be my advice for it. I definitely got in the habit of sitting there eating chocolate, scrolling through Facebook, and it's not a good habit to have. I'm willing to tell you that right now. So yeah, the best you can do to try and stay away from that, I would say, the better.
I agree, and with the chocolate thing as well, I'm guilty of
that.
Yeah. Chocolate is a bad one. Right.
What do you guys think to motivational pages? Sorry, James, you just made me think. I was going to ask you, what do you think to like motivational pages that you can see on social networks sometimes, especially Instagram? Has anybody ever come across them? With like where they post like quotes and things like that?
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea to follow some stuff like that, so that if you are having a bad day and you're scrolling through and you come across something like that, it just breaks that cycle a little bit of what you're seeing on social media. So yeah, definitely, I'd recommend following stuff like that.
What James is saying, you made me think specifically of Facebook, and that's where you can't really control too much of what you see. It's just what your friends are posting. But I think with me, when I use Instagram, sometimes you can just check for the people that you follow or the pages that you follow. And if you're only following or checking certain pages, you're controlling what you're actually seeing. So if you're following positive pages full of positive words, pages with nutritional advice and health advice and motivational quotes, etc., you're gonna attract some of that towards yourself and maybe feel a bit more better about yourself, and give yourself a few ideas and just another way of influencing your motivation as well, potentially.
I think what that shows as well, Denzel, is that's something that you've done subconsciously without really thinking about it. If you've only really thought about it now, that's something that you know
Yeah.
that you've already done it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Actually, maybe it's also helped as well, and I've not even realised.
Yeah. So no, I think
Mm.
again, good advice. So again, hopefully that's answered your question for you. To make you feel better, every single one of us said that we've been there. I'm still there, so you're certainly not alone. And never feel like you are, because we're all going through the same things. Thank you so much for sending in your questions this week. We've really enjoyed answering them for you, and hopefully our answers will help you going forward. If you do have any more questions another week, then please send them through to us. As Min was saying earlier, we have our youth club, which you can come on to. We're online every day on the chat, so come onto the chat and have a chat to us if you want to do it one-to-one in person. And if you just want to drop us some questions that we can answer on the podcast, then as well, that's fine. Just comment below. But thank you again for listening and watching. I hope you have an awesome week, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon.
See you later, guys.
Strong,
Thank
guys.
you.
Stay strong. We've got this. Bye.